Good morning, students. So, until the yesterday topic, we clearly understood what is called childbirth, teenage motherhood, social evils, okay, reproductive health, okay. So, today topic is how the plants can reproduce, okay, na? So, the today topic is sexual reproduction plants. Sexual reproduction in plants. You know clearly, basically the reproduction is two types: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So, is an asexual reproduction, sexual organs are not directly involved here. In sexual reproduction, sexual organs involvement is very clear. So mostly in primary organisms in plants or in animals, both sexual and asexual reproduction may take place. But in developed plants, clearly, sexual reproduction completely takes place. Of course, as a part of them, asexual reproduction also taken place here. So here the clear indication of sexual and asexual reproduction, there might be a great genetical variations takes place in sexual mode of reproduction. New characters are completely involved here in sexual mode of reproduction. Okay. So please, plants are basically two categories depending upon their flowering. Okay. Phanerogams and cryptogams. And cryptogams. Here the word phanerogams. All the flowering plants are comes under as a phanerogams. All the non-flowering plants are comes under as a cryptogams. Phanerogams are completely called as flowering plants. Cryptogams are completely called as the non-flowering plants. Flowering plants are comes under phanerogams. Non-flowering plants are comes under as cryptogams. Nearly 2,75,000 species of plants. Not the plants, species of plants. Hibiscus, a kind of a species. Okay, for example, rose, a kind of a species. Marigold, a kind of a species. This kind of 2,75,000 species of plants are completely comes under as a phanerogams. You can imagine how many non-flowering plants, for example, the cryptogams are still presenting on the land, are existed here on the land itself now. These are well-known species which will already discovered by the plants, discovered by the scientists. Clear it is. Okay, now see that these phanerogams are not having in the same particular places on the land itself now. Different kinds of species of plants may exist in different kinds of places. Some are presenting on the meadows. Some are presenting on the hilly mountain regions. Some are in the deserts. Some are in the water as an aquatic. Some are in the mangrove regions. Okay. So different locations. But one more thing. All the phanerogam structures and flowering arrangement is not completely equal. Flowering arrangement, size, shape, color, structure, arrangement, flower arrangement, petal arrangement may entirely various. May entirely different from flower to flower and species to species also. But whatever may be, these are all comes under as a phanerogams. But the process of fertilization, but the process of pollination may automatically change from the species to species once again. But the mechanism presenting in this particular flower is completely same. Okay, the mode of reproduction, I mean the mode of transmitting is pollination, and fertilization may automatically from various to flower to flower, various to from species to species. Clear it is. See that a typical flower we have taken already, you know very well in the primary classes. For example, in the 6th and 7th classes, what is called the flower? What are the accessory parts? What are the necessary parts of the flower itself? Now, clear? Here, a typical flower. This is called as an LS of flower is given here. For your easy understanding, I took one flower here now. This is hibiscus. The scientific name of this plant is called Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Scientists also given a clear-cut name. This is called as a technical name or scientific name. Okay. So this is the flower, Datura stramonium. This is a typical flower. This is for easy understanding. A common flower plant parts are given here. That's why we are taken as a Datura flower. So for your convenience, I collect one more flower to you. Hibiscus rosa sinensis. See that? So basically, this is the stalk, base part. So mostly all the flowers having the green colored base parts. These are commonly called as a, see this, you are understand clearly. These base parts are commonly called as a calyx. Okay, the calyx means a group of sepals. A group of sepals. This complete bunch, this complete bunch is commonly called as a calyx. Okay, individually each and every one is commonly called as a sepals. Okay, if you are removing the sepals, the what is the function of the sepals? During that early stage to the formation of the fruit, until the formation of the fruit, these sepals gives the protection to the internal parts of the flower. That's it. There is no separate function. There is no separate division to this particular sepals, or simply called as a calyx. Clear? If you are removing this, this is the first hole. There are totally 4 holes or 4 rings are present. First ring is called as a calyx. See clear? There are 4 rings. First ring, second ring, third ring, and last fourth ring. First ring is called as a calyx or sepals. Second ring, these are the bright colored. The coloring appearance of this particular corolla or petals may varies from flower to flower. Okay. So for example, individually, this one is called as a one petal. One petal. A group of petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, hibiscus have the 5 petals. A group of petals together called as a corolla. A group of sepals together called as a calyx. Clear, you know. So a group of petals. These are may bright in colors. Sometimes these petals may also have the inducents, fragrances. Okay. The importance of the corolla or petals may attract the insects for the process of pollination. Some of the insects may attract towards their colors, towards their fragrances. The flowers which may bloom during the night time, they have the fragrances. The flowers which may bloom during daytime, they have the bright colors. This is the nature's creativity. This is the nature's creation. So whatever it may be, mostly all the insects can attract towards the direction of the arrangement of the colors, or maybe arrangement of the flower, insects maybe. So these are useful for the attraction for the insects, especially for the process of pollination. Do you know what is the process of pollination? Transferring of the pollen grains from the anther to stigma is called as pollination. Okay. So for example, this is called as an anther. Transferring of pollen grains from the anther to stigma. This is commonly called as pollination. For the pollination, this kind of the bright color is necessary now. Okay. We can remove this particular one. Okay. Petals are removed means the second ring. The second ring, this first one is called as calyx. Second one, corolla. Third ring, say androecium. Androecium. See, here in the typical flower, anther and filament. Anther and filament. These two together called as a stamen. A group of stamens together called as an androecium. Androecium is the combination of stamens. Stamen is the combination of filament and anther. So for example, this is the filament. This is the filament. This is the anther. Anther plus filament complete one is commonly called as a stamen. This kind of group of stamens together called as a androecium. See this? So number of stamens are present here. See this one, and on the top of the one, this is a small bulk like, say bud like structure is present. This is also commonly called as the stigma. The stigma can bear the small granular pollen grains, a microscopic powder-like structures. These are commonly called as the pollen grains. These pollen grains can transfer to the anther to the stigma. It is now. Okay. Internally, clearly, the last part one. So this is the third ring. The last ring is commonly called as gynoecium. Androecium is completely commonly called as the male sexual organs, whereas the gynoecium is female sexual organs. Gynoecium is a combination of three parts: stigma, style, ovary. See this: stigma, style, and ovary. These three parts together as a gynoecium. As a gynoecium is completely called female sexual organs of the flower. Male sexual organs of the flower is androecium. Male sexual gametes is pollen grains. Female sexual gametes are ovules. Clear? Understood this? See this? If you are removing all this particular one, clear it is. See that? This tip or the terminal part of the one, this is commonly called as stigma. Okay, the length of the one completely called as a style. The base part of the one, this is commonly, this is commonly called as, ovule, or simply called as ovary. Within the part of the one, there is a ovules. If you are able to observe clearly in your surroundings, you can open the internal part and cut it into two pieces. You can able to observe a small kind of a knot, uh, dot-like structures. These are commonly called as ovules. Present here now. See that? Stigma, style, and ovary. So when the pollen grains transfers from the anther to stigma, then automatically the process is called as fertilization. One more thing. So the pollination, I told you, pollination is basically two types: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Transferring of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower of the same species is called as self-pollination. Transferring of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of the same flower of the another species. Same flower of the same species of another flower now. Another flower. That is called as cross-pollination. One more thing, the species is common. Transferring of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of the same flower of the same species is called as self-pollination. Transferring of pollen from the anther to stigma of the another flower of the same species. Another flower of the same species. This is commonly called as cross-pollination. Whatever it may be, either the self-pollination or cross-pollination, the final result is commonly called as fertilization. Before going to this, flowers are basically two types: unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers. When the flower can bearing either the male sexual organs or female sexual organs, that is, those are commonly called as unisexual flowers. So some of the, for example, creeper plants, for example, uh, bitter gourds. Okay. So for example, one more thing, bottle gourds. These are all best examples for unisexual flowers. Papaya. Okay. Bisexual flowers. When the flowers and when the plants can bearing both male and female sexual organs, means respectively androecium and gynoecium. So for example, this is the best example of the bisexual flower. These flowers can bearing both male and female sexual organs in the same flower. When the flowers can bearing only either male sexual organs as androecium, when the flowers can bearing only female sexual organs called as a gynoecium, either the male or female. Such a kind of flowers are called as unisexual. These flowers can need the remain opposite sex flower, whereas this kind of flowers doesn't need any another flower. Might be having a chance for the self-pollination. Sometimes maybe the cross-pollination. Okay, either the self or cross. Okay, remaining all developing plants or the flowers are best examples for bisexual flowers. Okay, so either the self or cross-pollination. The next process is commonly called as the fertilization. How the process of fertilization is going on here? Okay, see that. So this is also called as the LS, longitudinal section of the flower now. So for example, if you cut this particular part, the two equal bits as a longitudinal one, the top to bottom, we can automatically get the two divisions, two halves clearly now. So this particular half is looking to your observation now, showing to your observation. So this terminal part is called as the stigma. Okay, this is style. This complete part is called as the ovule or ovary. See that what the process is going on here. Number of pollen grains are settles on the part of the stigma. On the stigma, a sticky nature material is present. This sticky nature material is commonly called as a kind of a chemicals. When the pollen grains are sticks on the part of the stigma, they move towards the direction of the ovary. Such a kind of movement is also called, chemotropism. We know in the previous classes. Okay. So number of pollen grains may settle, but one more thing, one pollen grain only can germinate first of all. Which pollen grain can germinate? Okay. Before going to this, small one. So for example, this is the pollen grain. The pollen grain having the complete strong covering coat. They cannot be damaged by any kind of climatic factors. Okay. So one nucleus is present. When it would like to germinate, a small tube can germinate. This is commonly called as a pollen tube. This is called as a pollen grain. This is the nucleus one. Clear? So when the pollen grain settles on the part of the stigma, that can germinate a small pollen tube. Okay. Within the tube, the nucleus can divides and also transports along with this particular pollen tube. Okay. This pollen tube can continuously travels through the style and finally reaches the ovary. So here, the pollen tube can also make the two nucleus, two gametes. Two nucleus also commonly called two nucleus generally called as the two gametes now. Okay, this is the first gamete and this is second gamete. Of course, the first male gamete and second male gamete. See that within the part of the ovary, there are totally 7 cells with 8 nucleuses present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells. But this is the complete called as a one cell. What kind of cells are present here now? So this is called as ovary. These are integuments, means the layers which surrounds the ovary. This is called as the ovule, and this is completely commonly called as gametophyte cells. This sac is commonly called embryo sac. Embryo sac. Okay, within the center point. So okay, this one is enlarged here to understand. This is called as a pollen nucleus. Okay, this okay anterior region and posterior region. If you are taken clear enough. These antipodals, the function of the antipodals are not still discovered by the scientists until now. Okay. These are the base part. On the base part of the one, there are 3 cells are present. This is called egg cell, and these 2 are called as the synergids. All the cells having the nucleus is in the condition of haploid. Single set of chromosomes are present. It is commonly called haploid condition cells. Okay. N, 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 N. But this is in the condition is called a diploid condition. Diode condition. Before fertilization, that is in the condition is called diode condition. Diploid condition now. Okay. Remaining all are all haploid condition. Whereas these gametes also are in the condition is called haploid. Okay. So what the process is going on? So when the pollen grain settles on the part of the stigma, this can also forms the pollen tube and also 2 male gametes. First gamete is travels through the style and finally reaches the ovary. First gamete is fused with the egg cell. Already the egg cell is in the condition of haploid N plus one male gamete is combines with this one. Okay, N plus 1, 2N. Diploid condition zygote is formed. So the transporting the male gamete with the egg cell, these 2 cells may helps. That's why these 2 cells are commonly called as helper cells for the process of fertilization. Okay, after fusion of male gamete with egg cell, okay, then it is commonly called as first fertilization in flowering plants. First fertilization takes place. What is the result of the first fertilization? Zygote. Diploid condition zygote is forms. Okay. Next one. The second male gamete is also transported through the style and finally reaches with the polar nuclei. Already the polar nuclei is in the condition of 2n and one male gamete is fusion with this one. 2n plus 1 here 3n. Triploid condition structure is formed here. This is also commonly called as endosperm. What is this? No? Endosperm. Endosperm is formed here. Soon after the first fertilization, diploid condition zygote is forms. Soon after the second fertilization, triploid condition endosperm is forming now. Before fertilization, diploid condition is polar nuclei. After fertilization, diploid condition is zygote here. Okay, this is commonly endospermic nucleus for the growing embryo. This endosperm gives the protection. This gives the nutrients, supplying the nutrients to the particular zygote one. After formation of this zygote, all the gametes, all the egg cells presenting in this one can also fuse with this particular male gametes. Group of ovules means all the ovules can also fertilize with the same type of condition. Means the total ovary present in the particular one can also turn as a fruit. Each and every nucleus, each and every egg cell formed as a seed. After fertilization, after formation of the fruit, within the fruit, for example, all the seeds before fertilization, these are commonly called as nodules. Okay, all the fruit is completely compared as a ovary. So that after fertilization, every egg cell formed as a seed. After fertilization, entire ovary turned as a fruit itself now. This is the process observing for one ovule now. Understand clearly? So after formation of the eggs, after formation of the zygote can also formed as a embryo after the small plant. Clear? After formation of this, on the forming of this one, do you know already monocots and dicots? Single cotyledons are present in monocots, two cotyledons are present in dicots. Both in monocots and dicots, after the formation of this particular one, I mean seeds, epicotyl and hypocotyl is forming now. Epicotyl and hypocotyl. Epicotyl mostly, both epicotyls and hypocotyls also giving the protection. So to this particular one, a small projection is also forms. And also this one. This is called as a plumule. This is called as a radicle. After formation of the seed, the seed can also form the two structures. Okay, towards the direction of the gravity, towards the direction of the sunlight. Okay, this particular part radical indicates as a root part in the coming days, whereas the plumule indicates as a shoot part in the coming days. Whereas epicotyl and hypocotyls also can also form to giving the structures for this one. Okay, these are also indicated as a plumules and also the radicals now in coming term. Some of the seeds can also have the endosperm. Some of the seeds doesn't have the endosperm, which are commonly called as endospermic seeds. Castor, for example, and combs. Some of the one doesn't have any endosperm. Non-endospermic seeds. Endospermic seeds and non-endospermic seeds. After formation of this, okay, this one embryo, then after seed, then after seedling, then after simple fruit, after, for example, once again, the flower, then after fertilization after mature plant, mature plant once again giving the structures once again as a process of once again the pollination and fertilization once again. This is the cyclic process again and again occurs now in flowering plants. So this is the complete process of fertilization and pollination of the flowering plants. After this, the complete process. So number of plants can also give the number of seeds now. All the seeds can also have the complete covering coats, which are also useful for the coming generation, coming new plants once again now. The complete covering structures can also give the protection to the internal one from the climatic factors now. During the favorable conditions, they can germinate depending upon their particular monocots and dicots now. Monocots having the single cotyledons, dicots having the two cotyledons. Two seed leaves or one seed leaf is automatically present in the monocot and dicots now. Clear? Okay. So what the remaining process of the structures we will discuss later in the coming topics now. Okay. Thank you.